What's going on, everybody? This is Kevin Marcus Miller, the Marketing Clarity Doc. Y'all in for some gems today, hold on. Y'all in for some serious gems. Okay. Current client, the legend, Danielle McGee, founder of Black Business Boom, is here with us today to give her story on how she developed her six-figure business, but also her Facebook group has 30,000 people in it, y'all. And I'm trying to soak up some gems myself. So Danielle, what's up? How you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. I'm, it's the morning time, but I'm trying to eat healthy.
Yeah, it's 2 hours earlier there, so I'm like, you got way more energy than me, and I'm like noon. I'm like, it's afternoon here.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like 10:30, so that's all good.
Yeah.
But hey, so I was going through your LinkedIn profile, stalking you a little bit. You actually had like a career in banking and healthcare before you swapped to marketing. Why is that? What happened?
So in undergrad, my undergrad degree was in marketing and management. I've always loved marketing. When I was in high school, I wanted to go into PR. Actually, one of my teachers was like, "You should go in PR." Like I used to do stuff like call the radio station and ask the people to come out and do stuff at the school. You know,
you did that with you?
Yeah, like I would just be like, you know what, I'm gonna ask them if they would come out and host our talent show, and so my teacher, Miss Kirby, was like, you should go on PR. And so they didn't have PR as a major when I was in college, but so I did marketing, and then I added management as a second major. And I graduated, and of course, you think you're gonna go get a job, and you think you're about to make six figures, and like, I'm gonna make this 35,000 at this bank. Like that was literally, the only job I could really easily get. And so my grandmother had been the president of a bank for years, and I left that bank and gone over and was a VP at another bank. And so she got me in at a different branch than she was at. And so I was a banker for years. I think I've mentioned like I was like great at banking and really doing well with like doing sales, but it's stressful, and I think I eventually got up to about 39,000 or something after 4 years, but I was making good money because I was selling so much, so I was getting bonuses. Left there, went into industrial supply sales. At that point, I was in school doing my MBA, and I just knew I wanted to further my education, didn't really know why or what, and my grandmother was like, yeah, I'm reading the paper, and it says that if you go into healthcare, you'll always have a job. And I said, well, then I'm going into healthcare. Literally, that's how it went. Whoa. So I chose my concentration for my MBA to be in healthcare administration, and graduated 9 years ago with my MBA in healthcare administration. Again, I was working in industrial supply sales at that time in like a call center type of thing, making $42,000. And so I got the opportunity to get a job with a clinic, Chicago Family Health Center, and it was a manager position. It was barely making more than what I had been making. Let me back up. I left industrial supply sales to start my first business. I opened a spa, and then
hold on. Whoa, this is taking all kinds of side doors. Go back. Hold up.
Right.
MBA.
Random, right?
Super random. So was that also a health spa?
It wasn't. I just love spas. And I was driving home from work one day at this industrial supply sales company, and I was talking to my mother, and I was like, we should open a spa. Like, it was just random. And she was like, we should. We both just love spas. And we started looking for locations, and we opened a spa. And it was a rough road. I'm glad I backed up to that because that'll get you to where I am today. But I realized that like having this MBA did not prepare me for running a business.
Oh wow!
And Now I did, when I was doing my MBA in healthcare administration, I took some classes in internet marketing, is what it was called at the time. And so again, I always have had marketing in my heart and had to have like some elective classes and took some internet marketing stuff. Opened the spa. We actually had the spa open for almost 5 years.
Wow.
And so but we never really did great. We were like always just like staying afloat.
Okay.
And I stopped working for a year and a half or two. And my mama was like, you need to go get a job. Like, and so I tell people I was literally on food stamps, about to lose my condo, cleaning a house 5 days a week, getting up every morning, going to clean somebody's house. I was bartending. I was driving Uber. I was doing all of these things determined to not go back to work. And eventually I was like, okay, it's time to go back to work. And again, I had this MBA, but I didn't have much experience, in healthcare. So again, my mother worked at a hospital. My mother was able to like connect me with someone. I also had a certificate in managed care, and managed care, I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time, because managed care in Illinois, during this time period was becoming a big deal because our Medicaid and Medicare plans were going to be managed. So it was pretty easy for me to go get this job, but it was at FQHC. They don't have a lot of money. Federally qualified health center, don't have a lot of money. I was making like $43,000, right? And so as a managing a team, like, and I did that for 6 months, got an opportunity for another job. I met with someone at my current job. They loved me and had their HR reach out to see if I'd be interested in this other job. And so I went from making that $43,000 to making like $75,000. And I ended up moving here to Tennessee with that job. I was still in Chicago at the time. Moved here to Tennessee with that job and found myself over 6 figures, pretty quickly. But still, I'm like an entrepreneur at heart. And so when I moved here to Tennessee, I was like, I'm taking a break because this is hard. It's a lot of work, and I just want a break.
Yeah.
And we ended up closing the spa. Then I had an idea for an app. I started working on that. Like, I just could not get away from
shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, it's like, I get out business ideas like every week. And so, if not more frequent. so I was like, I started working on that. What I did, I took a step back and I went through a program, a 10-week program for entrepreneurs. And these are typically people who will just have an idea, really don't know a lot about business, haven't been in business. And so it took some humbling of myself, after being a business owner for 5 years. I also had my personal chef service for a while at that point, to take a step back and admit to myself that I don't know what I'm doing in a lot of ways. I was learning as I was going, and so versus having the foundation I needed to be successful. So I took a step back, did that program, really enjoyed it so much that I started teaching it. And in that first class that I taught, we got to the marketing week and everybody was having the same issues I was having with my spa. Like, we started opening the spa in 2011 or 12, and this was like Facebook ads weren't really a thing, and like Instagram wasn't a thing. Like, so a lot of the tools that we have now today were just being introduced to the market. So we were using like Groupon to get the word out, things like that. We weren't doing any email marketing, or very little, the emails that we could capture. And so I just became very evident that these people were having the same issues that I experienced, and I had figured a lot of them out at that point. So I felt obligated to build something to give back to Black business owners because, I mean, we're just disadvantaged in a lot of ways. And there's a digital gap, there's a wealth gap, there's a communication gap. There are all these gaps that I couldn't really. I just knew we were disadvantaged. You know, like I didn't know all that I know now. I didn't have all the stats and, you know, all of that I have now, but I knew we needed something and we needed something of our own. And so I decided I was going to launch the Black Groupon because Groupon had helped me with my spa so much. But it was costly. You know, we were offering a $50 service for $25 and only getting $12.50. And then they take 50% of the 50%. So we're getting $12.50 for a $50 service, but I'm still having to pay somebody to do the service. So you really start losing money. So I really wanted to create something to give Black business owners an opportunity to have their own platform and to do it in a way where it wasn't as costly to the business owner. So that was the start of Black Business Boom. I literally went home that night after that marketing class and was like, I have to create something. And it just hit me. I'm going to create this Groupon for Black-owned businesses. And I started like doing the things I learned in this class, like seeing if there's a market for it, you know, doing market research, putting it out in Facebook groups, asking, would you be willing to offer a coupon? You know, like things like that. And it was so crazy because 2 days later, I get a call from somebody on the news. They're from the Fox News locally. It's like, we saw your post about offering a coupon for Black-owned businesses, and we would like to interview you because we're doing a story on the importance of supporting minority businesses. And it was just catapulted things. And I was still working my healthcare job. That was October 2018. I was still working my healthcare job until August 2020. So, and I finally stepped out and was like, okay, time to go ahead and do this full time. We have transitioned and pivoted 50 times, you know, to become what we are
11 times.
Like, you know, I encourage folks, like, don't be scared to pivot in your business. And especially now, because you can just blame it on the pandemic. I'm like, whatever happens, just blame it on the pandemic. You know, like
Perfect Trump card.
Easy. You got an excuse for everything you do. It's the pandemic. We had to change our business model because of the pandemic. You know.
So you got 30,000 people in this Facebook group for this Black coupon, basically.
Yeah.
Coupon.
So the crazy part is that I started the Facebook group in 2016 before Black Business Boom was a thing. I moved here to Nashville where there are 4 HBCUs, and I was like, and before I moved here, everybody, these girls that I knew that went to Tennessee State here were like, girl, you gonna have you a husband in no time going to Nashville. There's plenty of Black men. There's plenty of this, that. And I got here and was like, well, where they at? You know, I don't see no Black folks. Yeah, and so what do we do? You know, coming from Chicago. So I really created the group because there was all this talk about there's 80 people a day moving to Nashville and it's such a growing city. So I'm like, there have to be other people who feel like I feel and feel disconnected and don't have any friends. I moved here knowing 0 people, you know, so I created it out of the need for us to just have something Black to exchange information and know about events, really. And it's set, and that's one thing, like it's set with like 300 people for like 2 years. Like, so we had like, I want to say it was 2018, so at least 2 years after that we were celebrating 1,500 members, and I was like blown away about getting 1,500 people in the group. Then next thing you know, it was 10,000, then it was 15, and it's just been growing, you know. But it just, every day I talk about the importance of community, you know, and just bringing people together. I always use Peloton as an example because I didn't have a Peloton. Someone invited me to a Peloton group on Facebook. I was like, I don't know why they put me in this group. I don't have a Peloton. But then I started seeing the posts, and it was like, so they were uplifting each other and excited about these rides. And sure enough, there was my Peloton. It took me about less than a year of being in this group. You know, after a few months, I was like, I really want this bike. You know, like, and so it was the community that made me. I would have probably never bought a Peloton, like, honestly. And so, but it was this community and just uplifting and coming together and encouraging one another and helping one another and being able to ask questions. That is what drove me to spend the money on this bike that I rarely ride, you know, and so, but still won't get rid of, because I still go to Facebook and it's still the community, you know, I'm still in these communities, and I'm still enjoying, and somebody will be like, hey, I just took such and such ride, and then I'm like, okay, I am going to ride today, you know. So I think for any business, it's just so important to focus on how do you bring people together, and especially during this time, because we need each other more than ever during this time. Like, we need community. People, especially extroverts, are just so feeling so disconnected. Of course, we're starting to go back out, you know, a little bit more, but it's still not normal. You know, we're still not normal. And so, again, I started the group. Then I started Black Business Boom, but when I started Black Business Boom, we probably only had 1,500, you know, people. And so as we started to uplift Black businesses and showcase Black businesses and ask for recommendations on businesses, it just started to take off. And so, yeah, we are 29,800 members. Hopefully we'll hit 30,000 in the next few weeks or so, but it's a lot of work though. so
speaking of a lot of work, how did you, so we connected, you know, as your growth partner to help build your staff, right? To build your capacity. So for those who are feeling overwhelmed, right? How did you come to us, and what do we help you with specifically?
Yeah, so I knew I needed help, and I get asked all the time, like, how are you doing all of this? Because you got Black Business Boom, you know, I was working full time, the Facebook group, you know, the teaching at TSU, like all these different things. And I was literally just out here by myself making all of these things happen, but wasn't doing it well, you know, like wasn't following through like I should have been. Being pulled in so many directions, not making any money, you know, like I think our 2019 revenue was like less than 20,000. It's not like it was not a lot. And so I knew for me to be able to go further and to build my revenue, I had to find some team members, but again, not having a lot of money to play with, it's hard, you know. And so then people tell you like, oh, you can go get a VA from the Philippines, and then you try that, and then that's a mess, right? And then you're trying to, first of all, we're like flying, we're building the plane as we're flying it, right? And so we're trying to create process, we're trying to teach, but we're doing stuff, and then you get to the point where you're like, I was doing it myself, because you know, you start to experience language barriers and time zone barriers and all these things. And so I was in the Traffic Sales and Profits group, which is a great group. And Ty posted and gave you a shout out. And I was like, oh, I need him. Like, this is what I need, because I know I need to build my team, but I've been unsuccessful with doing it. And I think as business owners, we have to be real about where we are not strong. And I am not strong in like finding the right person and getting them on board, you know. And so it was just a great fit for me to find All Approach and to have help in building my team, because now I have someone who is affordable, you know, as outsourced work, but speaks English very well. We don't have any, you know, gaps there. I was nervous, but you know, we communicate well, is very attentive. I can say, hey, do you know how to do this? And if she don't, she's like, let me go and find out, and so it's what I would have been spending my time trying to figure out how to do Instagram automation, versus having someone who is savvy enough to go out and figure out how to learn it themselves and then actually do it. And it lightens the load, gives me more capacity to focus on revenue generating opportunities, the high ticket, high dollar, opportunities versus the, like I feel confident in putting something in her hands that could, give us a little stream of income, $100 here, $200 here, but I'm over here focusing on the $100,000,
Right.
so it's just it's a good feeling, to feel like you have good health. It truly is.
Well, we appreciate you so much. You
Yeah.
shining because a lot of people aren't willing to get out of their own way.
I work with a lot of Black business owners, and it's a struggle in telling us, like, spend a little money, like, have a strategy for how you're going to spend money to make money. Like, you have to. And one of the key things, like, not even just people, but tools, like, I'll try and invest in a new tool, like, I love softwares and tools and things, but
Right.
most of the time they either make my life easier or they make me more money, so it's worth it to me. One tool that I use a copywriting tool now.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best things I ever did with my life. Like, I can write copy. Like, I'm not a copywriter, and I feel like had I had this AI copywriting tool 2 years ago, like, I would even be in a better position now. But I mean, I've rewritten all my web copy, all my, all these. So it pays for itself if I can write persuasive copy that's gonna get me a new contract, and so it's important that we find ways to invest in ourselves and our businesses that increase our capacity and increase our revenue. And, a lot of times folks are like apprehensive about the investment, but again, you also have to have a strategy for how you're going to maximize the investment so that it does impact the bottom line in a positive way. But if I got to spend 10,000 to make 100, it's worth it every day, all day, for me. And another thing I want people to think about when they think about investing is I've invested in things since I started Black Business Boom that's made Black Business Boom look like a much larger company than we have been, and so info at Black Business Boom has been live since day one. Our website, I've invested in having a nice website since day one. These are things that, it just gives a professional look to the things that you're doing. I have a graphics team on retainer that I pay every month. All of my stuff is branded. It all looks the same. You always know it's Black Business Boom or Black Owned Nashville or both, like, those things give a look so that when I have a corporate partner that's interested in working with someone, they feel a lot more confident and that this is a legit business and that they're going to get what it is that they pay for. So, and just invest in yourself and in your business. It'll take you a long way, especially if you have a strategy behind it. And that's what Kevin does, right? Help you to build that strategy behind it and not just like, oh, I need a VA. Like, I think a lot of us have been in a situation where we've gotten like a VA and we didn't even know what to do with them. Like, we were like, I know I need a person. And then you get them and then you like, oh, write this, like, do this, email this person, check this, like, so I love that you guys also help with the strategy and, how you can best use the person in order to grow in your business. So I'm happy to be a client.
We're happy to have you. Always happy. And also, folks who want to come to our weekly CEO meetup as well. It's a place where we're very vulnerable. It's not a braggadocious kind of thing, you know what I mean? It's more of a, hey, this is what's really going on. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Who's got some game for me? That's kind of what the vibe is there. So
man, I love the transparency, of the group and being able to have somewhere and come and be like, I'm not good at that, and to get recommendations and even training. You did the amazing training on LinkedIn. I learned things that day that I had no idea. I'm like, oh, you can feature posts on, I didn't even know you could do that, so it's not just a forum for us to sit and gripe or us to dream. We're really learning real things that we can implement and do and support each other, but be very open with each other about the struggles that we're having. Because when we were talking about sales, all of us we the problem. The product ain't the problem. We are the problem. And it's very, it's great to be with a group of people who can identify with that. And I'm not feeling like, well, I'm the only one who can't sell. I felt very much supported, I had the issue too, and this is what I've done to overcome it, and these are some things that you might want to think about without feeling judged. Because sometimes you get in these groups and you feel like you can't speak up because you're going to be judged or you're not on the level of everyone else. And being a CEO is all about continuously growing and continuously learning. So I appreciate you giving us a platform to be able to do that.
No doubt. 100. Blackbusinessboom.com. Where else should folks, if they want to be in part of the Facebook group, how can they get in touch with you?
Black People Making Moves on Facebook. Black Business Boom on all platforms. You can on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Danielle McGee MBA on LinkedIn. I'm trying to be more intentional about being there. So. And then I also do lots of different live sessions, typically with folks that have resources for business owners. So I was just live with FBA earlier today. You can find that on all of our pages. We were talking about the changes to the EIDL. So if you're a business owner and you're just trying to stay in tune with different resources that are available, check us out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Oh, I feel so good. I feel every time I talk to you, I feel better.
Good. Yeah. I mean, we are all out here really doing this. And again, community is so important because a lot of times you feel like as a business owner, even when you have a team, you still as the CEO feel like you out here trying to figure these things out on your own. No matter what, you feel like, and you feel like talking to us, they're not going to understand. Our friends and family members are not in these same positions, so we feel like a lot of times we don't have anyone to vent or to talk to or that will understand where we're coming from. So, again, I appreciate you giving us not only a platform, but giving us, the group on Fridays for us to get together and be able to learn and grow and support each other as well.
100%. Onisha, I see you in the chat. Appreciate you.
Yes,
Awesome.
Onisha's been great. Woo! She's a wealth of information.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Love
it. Great. I mean, like I said, it's good people, that I feel like even within the group, if I needed something or I needed someone who did something, I can find them, but I can definitely find someone who has a resource and can point me in the right direction. So it's very powerful.
Indeed. Excellent. Well, folks, tap in with Danielle. You already know what to do. We got the info. I'm gonna put it in the chat here as well. Follow her. Make sure you understand that community is everything. Building community is so important as entrepreneurs. Thank you for.
And I'm telling you one thing, even if your community is 50 people that are engaged, it is better than 100,000 that don't know your name. You know, like if you like find you 50 good people, you know, that are engaged with what you're doing and that are in your target market that you can sell to. That's all you need. You know, you get some good people. That's, yeah.
100%. 100%. All right, y'all. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Y'all have a good day.
Yeah.
Get good food.
See you tomorrow.
Yep. Bye.